back, everybody. So today we're going to have the next tasting of my small batch. This is the Hazy IPA Batch 1. Now, this was bottled on 9/24/2020, so a little over a year old. Now, a lot of these I've kept just to see what happens with like an IPA, a stout, a porter, whatever. If you've put them in the back of a cellar or something and you forgot about it. So if you go back and look at some of these homebrewing playlists, there's beer reviews for a beer like, say, a month, 3 months, maybe 4 months, 6 months, then a year. Also, what does the carbonation on these keep going up? It seems like a lot of times either a home brewer will undercarb it or overcarb it, and then you can have bottle bombs that just explode, or when we pull this cap off, it's going to shoot clear up into the ceiling. So again, this one was bottled on 9/24/2020. 4.63% ABV. I didn't take the time because I've got them all spread over. This is using Rahr malt, 2-row, Flaked Oats, white wheat. For the hops on this one, first wort hop. So as you're mashing out, you're adding hops. Mosaic hops, then steep Whirlpool is Cashmere.Mosaic Sabro. Then in the dry hop, it's also Sabro. Then Omega 011 or the British Ale 5 yeast is what I used. 4 small pearl carbonation tablets were used on this. Let's hope this thing doesn't go all over the place. Good hiss. We are getting a little bit of carbonation. So what's going to happen if this is overcarbed? What you could see, and I should find one just so I have a picture of it. I'm going to stop there because of the trube and the head is coming up. So what happens sometimes if it's overcarbed, if it's not going to gush out, but the foam will start filling up. When you open it, you can almost see that air going down into the bottle, then circulating on the bottom, then all that stuff comes up. Can you drink it? Yes. Most people? No. Most people I know leave that last bottom in the glass, but I also want to see the clarity. That's why I'm not doing it. If I was drinking this directly out of the bottle, I would just drink it probably until the very end. These are obviously unfiltered. I bottle them directly out of the fermenter, so there's going to be a little bit more stuff than traditionally in there. So off-white colored head, pillowy head. Probably from the oats in there is helping that. Also, the wheat malt that is in here. Yeah, I don't see anything floating, so we got all that. From that pour, about 1.5 fingers of head. Bubbles on the side are compact like dish soap. For the color, golden yellow in color. Lots of bubbles. You guys are seeing it a little darker than I am. Looks like your standard IPA, not a hazy IPA by anything, but again, we're over a year old. Yeah, there's no way I would call this thing a hazy IPA, but very, very clear. I can see the bell sign. I can see the light box. I could probably see the camera. I can see the camera through this. So let's go ahead and smell, see what we're still getting. That Sabro should be coming through as coconut, I'm hoping, but let's see. A little honey, like sweeter malt, probably from the aging process. The hop, the alpha acids have died down. That bitterness is definitely died down some. It's typical, at least for the ones that I've been doing, to get a little bit more of that honey malt, honey water sweetness coming off the smell of beer that's a year old. I would say a little citrus. Yeah, I would say citrus. It almost makes me go to like a lemon lime Pilsner, something along that line with a little bit more sweetness in there. Definitely not getting coconut. Yeah, that's about it. Let's go ahead and taste. Whew. That bitterness is up there, but there's some like citrus fruitiness, like a sweetness, but wow, that bitterness. I'm surprised it's hung on this long. There's, I don't, it's overcarbed. I do get a lot of carbonation, almost like for the first half of the palate, you can't really taste anything because bubbles are just going crazy. Middle of the palate to the end, like I said, like a juicy citrus fruit in there, but then it just turns into like grapefruit rind bitterness all the way down, sticks around. A little citrus sweetness mixed with that big bitterness is what I taste in the aftertaste. Now that the carbonation has settled down, a little malt sweetness up front. Probably a little too much for me. Hazy IPA with all that bitterness, no. Obviously, if I was doing this blind, didn't have any clue what this was, I would say this was a double IPA. Just because of all that bitterness in there and that sweetness, like a not even an older double IPA, because I think that sweetness would go up. Usually that light syrup that you get in a double IPA, I don't get that. So yeah, it's kind of got that bitterness from a double IPA, but the body and kind of the body and most of the taste from an older IPA, a lower ABV IPA, almost like a session with a ton of bitterness. I actually I get coconut now. Like coconut fruit citrus bitterness. Yep, definitely coconut. Now that this thing has had a chance to settle down, yeah, coconut. And the bitterness is still there. So that's kind of the weird part, but I think at the end of the palate that juicy citrus fruit kind of helps that coconut at the beginning, but then it just slams into bitterness. Yeah. Would I brew this and let it age a year? No. That bitterness is way too much. Like perceived bitterness, I would say is 80. It is in your face. Like I almost feel like instead of breathing fire, I'm breathing hops. It's up there. I'll have to go back and watch the older reviews. I don't watch any of the other tastings before I do the new one, so I'll have to go back. But it seems like it's got a good amount of that. I don't want to say overly sweet, but a little sweet coconut at the beginning. And the coconut does hang around now. So I can't wait to try the other one, see if they have the same flavor profile or not. But yeah, let me know if you brewed something like this and let it sit, or if you found older home brews that you forgot about. If you enjoyed this video, check some more out over here. And until next time, happy brewing.